do podium. It's nice to see a lot of people I don't know. My name is Amy Kendall, and I am the current facilitator for the Vandy Moms group. So, you know, it's nice. There's lots of room at the moment if you want to kind of scooch up and get closer so you can really hear or whatever, make yourselves at home. You will find that we are very relaxed around here. Feel free to chime in. Feel free to get up and go get a snack if you need one. We're full. So this is Balancing Act, and this is actually the second year that we have offered this program. And the idea is to give you the answers you need to make working workable for you. So we have a great panel of experts. I think I'm going to start off with a couple of quick housekeeping issues just so you know. If you didn't find them, the restrooms are directly outside by the elevators, kind of in and behind there. Feel free to get up and leave if you need to. Snacks, of course, are in the back. We are videotaping, and you've seen Sarah going around taking some pictures, so if that's an issue, let me know. We do have a website and things like that where I like to use those pictures, so just let me know if that's a problem. And you got an index card on the way in. If you have a question you'd like to ask of our panelists or of me or of anybody who's involved with Vandy Moms and you're not comfortable doing it, just write it down on there, give it to somebody at the end, and you will identify those people by, we have these little stickers on our name tags. Those are the people who have kind of been around for a while and they know kind of how Vandy Moms works and some of the answers to questions. So you can ask it, they say like cool or super or whatever. So ask one of those people and chances are they'll know the answer, or they'll know who does know the answer. So let me give you a quick kind of 60-second history of the Vandy Moms, since many of you probably don't know what we're all about. So did any of you participate in Babies and Youth? Okay, that actually was the impetus for getting Vandy Moms started. So I came back, my oldest is 12, and I did Vandy Moms when she was a baby, and also with my second one who's 8. And after Babies and You was over, and I had come back to work, and after about a year of being totally submerged, I started looking around going, okay, where's Toddlers and You? Because I don't know how to do this. And so I called around all over campus. I called lots of these people and said, I need Toddlers and You. Where is Toddlers and You? Of course, there wasn't any such thing. So I finally talked to Misa Cully, who's not here today. She was at the Women's Center. She's the editor of the newsletter. And she said, no, we don't have anything like that, but let's start one. And I said, no, that's not really what I had in mind, because I had this 18-month-old child, and I was like, no, this is not happening. Well, long story short, that was 10 years ago. We started in 2003, and we've been meeting ever since. And the idea is that we meet once a month, and right now it's generally on the first Thursday of the month from 11:30 to 12:30. Today's a little bit longer. And we cover all kinds of different topics. We try and cover a wide variety of kind of serious things all the way down to really just kind of fun things. So we've done walking tours of campus, we learned how to knit, but we've also talked about how to write a will, we've talked about immunizations, and we try to pull from the Vanderbilt community. So we've had lots of different people from the campus come in and speak about the different aspects that we're interested in. It's very driven by the members of a group, meaning the people who show up. There is no membership. So if you want to hear something about Metro National Public Schools, schools of choice, that we offered that back this fall. If you're interested in magnet schools for your child, then that's something that we offer routinely. Or if you're interested in how to, this fall we're going to offer something on advocating for special needs children. So if that's something you're interested in, then you just speak up and email me or put it on the Facebook page or something like that, and we will try to offer that. So during the summer we have lunches, just very casual, and we have special events about twice a year, spring and fall, usually a picnic or something where you just kind of bring your whole family and hang out. I'm a scientist, so like I don't do mission statements or anything like that, but if I was to write a mission statement for the Vandy Moms, it would sound something like, working motherhood is really hard, and the Vandy Moms don't want anybody on campus to feel like they're going it alone. That would be our mission statement. I realize it's not a well-constructed mission statement, but I'll leave that to those of you who do that for a living. So those of you who have been around kind of know that one of my favorite fun books is I Don't Know How She Does It, which they later made into a movie. See, Sarah knows. They later made into a movie with Sarah Jessica Parker, and it's one of those movies that you watch. It's about a working mother. And it's one of those movies that you watch and you go, oh my gosh, that's a little bit too close to my own life, but it's really funny. And one of the things that she says in there is parenting, I'm not sure it's in the movie, but it's definitely in the book. Parenting is like trying to build a boat while you're at sea. And I think the heart of the Vandy Moms is that we don't want anybody to drown while they're trying to do that. So anyway, that's kind of a short introduction. If you are interested in connecting with the Vandy Moms, we have 3 different ways you can do it, and I meant to bring up, did anybody pick up one of those little cards in the back? So we have these little cards, yes, thank you. These are new, they're fabulous. So they say Vandy Moms, and they have the 3 different ways you can connect with us. We have a Facebook page. Not as many people are on Facebook anymore, so if that's not your thing, then don't bother going there. We have a listserv, which is, if you're not familiar with that, it's kind of the mass distribution email listserv. That is where we put all of the kind of upcoming events. I keep in mind that that is a Vanderbilt email address for most people, so we don't send you much on that. We only send you notification of upcoming events. And the most recent thing is we have a website. It's part of the My.Vanderbilt website family, and so you can go there. It's WordPress blog style, so you can go there and check out all the stuff we're doing. That's where this video is going to be posted eventually, so you can go there and find out, you know, the events are posted there. You can watch the video. You can, there was a podcast that Stacey did, Stacey all the way at the end, Stacey did for us back in the winter, and it's just been up there, so it's posted on there if you want to learn more about Vandy Moms. So pick some of these up, because I think all of the Vandy Moms kind of feel like what we eventually like is that as soon as a new mom comes back on campus, she knows that we're here. And it's not that big, scary, like drop your kid off at work and cry all the way to work, and then go home, get your kid and cry all the way home. We don't want anybody to feel like that. So take a few of those, and like those girls, I've been tempted to like walk down the halls of Medical Center North and like see some pregnant woman and go, here. But seriously, that's what we're here for. We are kind of a support group. So that's almost all of the like generic things that I wanted to say. I gotta check my notes, make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah, okay, let me introduce our fabulous panelists to you. I'm gonna kind of introduce them along here. And I'm gonna kind of give you an idea for what they do on campus. They're all here on campus somewhere, and they all have a different expertise in the kind of arena of working motherhood. So Katie Garcia, she is the program coordinator at the Margaret Cuninggim Women's Center at Vanderbilt University. She earned a bachelor's degree in Women and Gender Studies from Skidmore College and a master's degree in social work from Washington University in St. Louis. In her role as program coordinator, she works with students, staff, and faculty around 3 core areas: body image, sexual health, and student parenting. In her 3 years at Vanderbilt, Katie has worked hard to support undergraduate and graduate students with families by helping them access the relevant social, academic, and child care resources they need to succeed at Vanderbilt. In addition, she works with the Breastfeeding Welcomed Here campaign, which is new and so wonderful. It's an initiative that highlights departments, offices, and individual staff members that welcome and support breastfeeding moms. Katie is passionate about the work she does at Vanderbilt and continuing to make Vanderbilt a family-friendly environment for students, staff, and faculty. So that's Kate. Kathleen Figaro is an endocrinology fellow and a former assistant professor in the Department of Medicine, and she is one of the founding members of Women on Track, which is an initiative at Vanderbilt designed to prepare and train women faculty for successful careers in academic science. The overall mission of Women on Track is threefold: to promote the retention and advancement of tenure-track women faculty in medical science, to provide mentorship, support, and career education for junior faculty women, and to construct a framework from which to attract and retain talented women from the house staff and postdoctoral levels of the organization. So that's Kathleen. Stacey, oh, did I like mess this up somehow?
No, they rearranged.
Oh, they rearranged.
Without asking. They're just moms. They just did it.
We had a plan. We're gonna roll it. We're gonna roll it.
Yeah.
So Margie joined Worklife Connections, EAP, which is the Employee Assistance Program, in 2002 as the Nurse Wellness Specialist to champion the Nurse Wellness Program to assist nurses and all staff to develop resiliency and to cope effectively with challenging and exciting demands of an institution that is an academic leader in healthcare and education. She has nearly 40 years of nursing experience as a mental health clinician, nurse educator, and consultant at the Vanderbilt School of Nursing, Meharry Medical College, and Columbia State Community College, as well as the American Anesthesia Nursing Association, Williamson Medical Center, the Metro Police Department, and Bridges Domestic Violence Program. If this was a film, the PR trailer would say she eats, breathes, and lives nursing. Okay, gotta get back on track here. Okay, here we go. Traci. Coming to Vanderbilt in the fall of 2010 to serve as Vanderbilt's Chief Human Resources Officer, Traci Nordberg knows what it's like to juggle multiple responsibilities. In addition to being the mother of 3 daughters who range in age from 3 to 10, right? 3 to 10 years old, she has a demanding job working to improve human resource functions at Vanderbilt. She challenges herself every day to make an effort to balance work and family. She's a big supporter of issues facing working parents, including childcare, work schedules, leave programs, and stress relief. All right, Carol. In 2010, Carol Huber, registered nurse and certified lactation consultant, IBCLC, was hired to work in Vanderbilt's NICU as a full-time lactation consultant. She is the member of the TIPQC Human Milk program. I've forgotten something. In the NICU project at Vanderbilt, and works to ensure that our NICU babies, and there are 98 of them right now? Is that what you said? 94. Have every opportunity to get a great start on mother's milk. She came to Vanderbilt 9 years ago or 8 years ago? 9 years ago, and started the Perinatal Education and Lactation program as a childbirth educator and lactation consultant. She has taught childbirth classes for expectant parents for 27 years and worked with a support group for mothers returning to the workforce. She and her husband are the proud parents of 4 wonderful children, all of whom were breastfed. She has been a working mom for most of her 29 years of motherhood. She loves working with new parents and supporting them through getting started with parenthood. Rhonda Laird, second to the last one down there, is the manager of the Edgehill site Vanderbilt Child and Family Center. She earned a bachelor's degree from Michigan State University and a master's degree in early childhood education from Vanderbilt University. She serves on several boards and committees advocating the needs of young children. Currently, she's the president of the Tennessee Association for the Education of Young Children. Rhonda has worked at the Child and Family Center since 1990. Both of her children have attended the Child Care Center, and they are now 28 and 24 years old. They had some of the same teachers who work there today. And last but not least, Stacey on the end there has been the program coordinator for the Child and Family Center since 2009. She coordinates many different backup programs here at Vanderbilt, including Parents in a Pinch and the Vanderbilt Sitter Service. Since her employment with Vanderbilt, she has networked in the community with agencies that provide services for caregivers and their aging loved ones. She has worked with Vanderbilt Home Care to organize their caregiver celebration. So this is our fabulous panel, and now I'm going to actually stop talking and turn things over to Adele White, who is going to help moderate the session today. So she's going to give you some more instructions and rules and all that kind of stuff, and she's a long-time Vandy mom too, so she can answer lots of questions. So I'm going to take your seat.
Yeah, take my seat. Thank you for coming, and I see everybody, we're doing that usual thing, we're spreading out all the way to the back, that's fine, but also please feel free to grab a snack and move forward and be all chummy if you'd like to. So we'll jump right in to get to the content, and what we thought we would do is, I know we all have a lot of burning questions, and you've gotten the intros of what they do, but we're going to give each panelist a few minutes to, we thought we'd kind of cue them up, because we all have that individual, you hear this programmatic language and the mission and the goal type language, but we're going to get down to some nitty gritty, I hope, on real situations and real questions, and kind of dig in a little bit on that. So I'm going to tee them up, let them talk for a couple of minutes, and we ask them to think about what is the most common question or request that you receive from or that relates to working moms? You know, that email in your inbox or that conversation that you have. And also, which this could be different, what is your favorite piece of wisdom to share with working moms? You know, sometimes we have that go-to little nugget that we like to share with people. And so I thought that we would start with the 3 people that actually work with the different populations on campus, student, faculty, and employee. We'll get some big picture from Traci, who can, I'm sure, say it all. That's right. And then we'll get into some more specific areas with Carol and Rhonda on the child care and lactation piece. And then we'll finish it off with some feel good if you just still need that help, anything you need with Margie, who always made me feel good when she was supportive to me. So I thought, Katie, we would start with you, just let you talk for just a couple minutes, and then we'll take a question or two from the audience at that time, and then forgive me if I have to nudge us along. But Katie, would you like to start?
Absolutely, and I can be as brief as possible. But so I'm kind of representing 2 different programs here. And so the first is supporting our Students with Children initiative. And so what that looks like here at Vanderbilt is we support both undergraduate and graduate students that have kids while here at Vanderbilt. But it looks a little bit different. For undergrads, it's a little bit fewer and far between. So it's much more case management. And it's a little bit of go to your dean, here's financial aid, all of these things so that they can have their ducks in a row, but also so that they can come back and finish their time at Vanderbilt. We actually have a really great support system for undergrad students who choose to parent while here. For graduate students, it's a little bit less case management, but a little bit more just providing family-friendly activities on campus, helping them to navigate policy, parental leave policy, and all of that great and exciting stuff. We've also started recently a monthly meetup group, and so the first Saturday of the month we will provide family-friendly funding. So our most recent one, though it did get canceled because of the half inch of snow in Nashville, it tends to be an emergency. But we partner with like the Nashville Public Library to do pre-K literacy, bringing books to life. We brought a puppet theater that did a lot of with shadow puppets. So just fun activities on campus that students can come and bring their families to. The other initiative that I want to talk about a little bit is our Breastfeeding Welcomed Here campaign. And this kind of started, and we actually have some of our campus partners with us on the panel. One of the most common questions that we were getting is where can I pump on campus if I'm returning back to work or returning back to school? And we were kind of drawing a blank, especially on the academic side. There was really not a whole ton of space and resources. And so we partnered and modeled a program off of Nash Vitality, which is a Metro Health program. And basically what it does is it identifies folks on campuses, offices, departments, individuals who are just a breastfeeding welcoming space. You're going to do the best with what you got. If it's a conference, if it's an office, if it's anywhere with a door that you can get some privacy. And what we do, I brought an example if anyone wanted to see, but there goes my business card. But so we provide a little door hanger that you can put on the door so folks know it's private in case there's not a lock, which is something we came up against. It allows a little cling that identifies an office or a department as a welcoming space. And then we operate a Google map. And so what happens is if you are returning back to work and you need a space, you can go to the Women's Center website, you can look at the Google map, and you can find a location that's closest to you. And you can click on there's like a little dot, and it'll come up with a bubble, an information bubble, and so it'll have a primary contact, a description of space, a picture if possible, and that provides you all the contact information you need to make a reach out and say, hey, is there something we can do? You're the closest private facility or private space. And that's kind of how it operates. We also are committed to updating it every 6 months. We don't want to send anyone on a wild goose chase, and so we are committed to checking, making sure that contact is up to date, that it hasn't changed, and if it has, we're going to make sure that information is properly represented on the website.
Love it. I think that's really exciting, and I bet there might be some questions relating to that. I know that when I came back, it was a real problem trying to find a place to pump, and so I was meeting strangers with everything all present and accounted for. So, and that's okay if no questions come to, feel free to raise your hand or nudge one of the, Sarah.
What is the process for getting your space on that list?
Absolutely. So I can give anyone that's interested in becoming a welcoming space, I'm happy to give you my business card. It's a short survey that you fill out that just, is a way for me to collect, the relevant email, phone, etc., a description of space, and then I'll come over to your area and I'll bring a binder or a little folder and walk you through all of it. The other things that are in here is like an FAQ, a description of Tennessee and Vanderbilt policy, talking points, so in case anyone does see that you're a welcoming space, you have all the tools you need to say this is what it means. A lot of folks were thinking that this meant that their space is a designated space, and it's a designated, and it looks like a lactation space. It's not, it's just a way to find allies. So yes, you can contact me, I'll send you out the form, and then I'll come visit you over in your neck of the woods. It's always lovely to take a walk across campus, so.
That's great. I would think especially for student populations, that's just a way of educating, it's music to Carol's ears, you know, that we're pushing that down, you know, so that makes a lot of sense. And Kathleen, if we could, you know, then kind of, were there any other questions real quick? If any come to mind, we're going to leave lots of space, we hope, 20 to 25 minutes at the end. So if some questions come to mind in gel, just hold on to those or write them down on the card if you want to. I'm excited to hear about Kathleen's program.
Women on Track started 8 years ago when several of us went to the AAMC Early Career Conference. We were surprised to find out that we really didn't know a lot of things about how to get tenure. And those 3 days were filled with all sorts of seminars on writing a resume or writing your CV in a wonderful format and negotiating and all sorts of tricks of the trade, so to speak. And some of us felt that we should bring that back to Vanderbilt, that everyone couldn't go to that conference, that only 2 people would be designated and paid for by the dean per year to go to the conference. And that left a lot of women without access to what we thought was critical information. So we developed the group, and over time it has really grown so that we have more than 300 members. Of those, 70 or 80 women on the tenure track, and several more women who are either postdocs or fellows or who are on the research track and not on the tenure track, who'd like perhaps to be on the tenure track, but who need further help, support, and information. So we're largely information driven, so that most of our seminars are like this. We either have a panel, one person in front, and everyone's sitting like this. We'd like to move, of course, over time to becoming more of a community so that women can feel the spirit that I think is embodied by Vandy Moms. I think that our major roadblock is that in the institution, in the medical center, it's really not that prominent to think of yourself as a mom. So this idea of Vandy Moms wouldn't really be a designation that might resonate with a lot of our members. They're very driven women. They're women who want to succeed and who see tenure as their goal. And there's limited time, and so the most common question I get to answer your question is really, what can I do to increase my productivity as I'm bogged down by things like bed rest, or having a baby early, or having to breastfeed while I have multiple things to accomplish. So those are kinds of questions I get, and really the answers, and I'm not the only one who gives the answers, but when we've gotten together and all provided answers, it seems to me that we've gotten away from the idea of balance towards a more an idea of attentiveness to the moment, of doing what is really in front of you to do and being fully there. Because it turns out it's hard to be balanced on a 24-hour basis or even on a week basis. Over a life, though, you'd like to be balanced. and I think when we have these moments where we have grants due or papers really done, or you have to complete an experiment and it really can't be stopped. So the questions are related to how can I get extra help if I have a long day to make sure that someone picks up my kid, or all sorts of things of how logistically to make things work for the main purpose of increasing our productivity. And so I would say I'm not really a believer of balance overall. I'm a believer in life of balance, but of being attentive and being present to what you're doing right now, whatever it is, whether it is being with your kid or it is writing your grant, and not letting what other responsibilities you have enter into your space so that you can be maximally productive. And members in our group, I think, have benefited from that kind of advice.
I think that's really interesting, the way you picture, the way you define balance. It's this or the other,
right.
And I like that attentiveness. With so much about the mindfulness, that we're hearing about, I think that especially mindfulness-based stress reduction and all of that, and so that when you look back over a period of time, you will probably see some balance.
Absolutely.
But that those priorities will emerge in the moment, and you can. So I love little mental tricks like that allow me to characterize my life. So that's really cool. Any questions, right now? And again, if you want your questions to percolate over the next few minutes, have you had some young tenure track faculty members come, just at their
Wit's end?
Yeah. I didn't want to say that, yeah. But yes.
Yeah, people do come to us, members of the committee, at their wit's end. And we try to get them to the right people, and I'm glad to actually be on this panel and learn about more resources than I knew about, the Google Map that I didn't know anything about and could have used when I was breastfeeding. So I think there are resources available, and what we were about, and what we still are about, is making sure that those are available to our members. There are resources on campus, but it seems like they're disparate, so some people know about it and some people don't. It's not because people don't want people to know about it, it's just information tends to bubble up in weird ways. So we're all about collecting information so that we have a full resource for the women who need and for what they need. And most of our members are not trying to see how can they become part-time. They really are quite focused on their outcome tenure. But there are so many things that are in their way, and being perceived as a mom may even interact negatively with how people perceive their competence. So I don't think that identity comes out very, very prominently among women. They're not talking about their kids, even when they come to our conferences. They might mention that they saw me pregnant a couple of years ago and what happened, but it's not. It's just not our everyday talk to discuss it, and that has its own problems and issues too. But that just is the way that it is in the environment of the medical center. That we're focused on the outcomes, and the outcomes are very methodically and quantitatively collected by your division, by most divisions, and you need X, Y, and Z to progress this way to tenure.
That's very interesting. I know that, sometime when I came back after my first baby, I took 6 weeks, came back, and I was like, baby, what baby?
Yeah.
No, I'm fully here, no problem, but, so I think to be able to own that as part of your identity is okay.
Yeah, but it's difficult.
But it's,
yeah.
it's a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, that's good. I like
I
that.
have a quick question.
Yes.
I've recently come into, I'm working on tenure track. I've recently come into a situation where I've had to miss work because my daughter's really sick. And I'm like getting pressed up against grant deadlines. Like I didn't got my grant in on Tuesday, but other things are kind of slacking. So I feel like I'm making excuses and like blaming my daughter.
Right.
How do you convey that, I've got other priorities to your colleagues without looking like your priorities aren't with work?
Right. There's no easy answer to that, as you well know.
Yeah.
And what we've told members is essentially to ask for the policies related to family medical leave and make sure that we know those, and be very upfront about what our current priorities are and what our overall priorities are. So, it's sort of like you have to be both. You have to say, well, my current priority is my sick daughter, and that really has to be, and be very upfront about it without being, of course, confrontational, which I don't sense that you were being. But at the same time, reaffirm reaffirm what you're going to do in the next 6 months, what your goals are for your tenure position, and I think you can hold both those in suspension and in attention at once when you speak to whoever your supervisor is. As to your colleagues, they'll just have to suck it up. Ultimately, you're not responsible to them. Your goals are to whoever is your supervisor. And I think sometimes we get caught in the guilt or in the feeling that we have to look correct to other people. But other people have other either illnesses or their own personal illnesses or other priorities that come in conflict with their work. And we don't hold them, and we don't ask questions to them about what's going on, and often it's more personal or more easy to hide. So I think not being concerned about what colleagues are thinking probably will relieve you of somewhat of the feeling you have.
Very good. I like that. Stacey, we were going to jump down to you since you are kind of have that overall resource support role for the employee population after student and faculty.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to kind of piggyback with what Katie was saying. We do have a list on our Child and Family Center breastfeeding sites as well. It is a PDF though, so you can just print that off and go to the different sites. Quite a few are on the medical side, but there are some on the university side that's on our website. But I wanted to also give you the resources and services we have available for you as a working mom. We have our backup, and we have flyers out there. I don't know if you got them when you came in. We have 2 forms of backup care, and that's the sitter service and the parents in a pinch. The sitter service is employees and students at Vanderbilt that's looking to help out other employees or faculty at Vanderbilt. They have to be associated with Vanderbilt, so they have to have a DUNET ID. and they go on there and put what their availability is and how they can help. And then if you're needing someone, you just go on there, look up what you're looking for, and then you contact them directly. We don't do the background check or interview or anything like that, so you do that with them, and you negotiate the price with them. The good thing about this is if you don't get off until 6 or 7 and childcare closes at 6 or 5, this is something that can be ongoing. What I do tell a lot of moms is do it as a trial. What you do is just maybe on a Friday or a Saturday when you got light housekeeping, or if you got to do something around the house, see how that person interact with your child before you really have to leave them. A lot of parents use this, especially if they want to go out with their husband or wife on a Friday, or if they just don't have any family and they want to get out sometimes, or just an ongoing thing. So that is the sitter service. Our other form of backup care is a Parents in a Pinch. This is only 20 days per calendar year, but this is good for those sick days. If your child has a fever, can't go to daycare, can't go to school, and you need someone to watch your child, they'll actually come in the home. They've done the background check, they've done the interview, so you pretty much pay them directly. And like I said, that's only 20 days per calendar year, so it's not like an ongoing thing that you can use. The good thing about Parents in a Pinch is it's not just local, so if you go to a conference somewhere and there's a Parents in a Pinch there and you want to take your child to like Florida with you for vacation, they can come to the hotel room and watch your child while you're there. Or even if you have an aging loved one that had surgery in another state and you can't get there, if there's a Parents in a Pinch there, they can bring them home from the hospital until you get there. Or yourself, if you have back surgery or foot surgery, you can use Parents in a Pinch. When you call them, make sure you give them your employee ID number, because that's the way they're going to associate you with Vanderbilt, and you'll get the lower cost. So that's the Parents in a Pinch and the sitter service. We also offer every year a summer camp fair, and actually this year is next week, Friday the 15th, from 11:30 to 2, and it's going to be in Light Hall. And it's going to be in the lobby area. That way you can come and see what camps are available in the community. If you're not able to come to that, after the fair, we'll put all that on our website so you can see, who was there and get information from there. And then the last thing that I want to kind of mention is we're finding out more and more of the employees and faculty here are becoming caregivers of an aging loved one or a mother or father, which is probably you, the sandwich generation. So we're here to help you with that role as well. So if you need resources, if you want to know what's in the area, we provide that, not just here in Nashville. So if you're looking for places in another state, we can give you information about that. And we can also, just kind of help you with that role. We go out and see different places, so it's not like we're giving you names of places that we haven't seen. We also have a support group on campus, which is the second Wednesday of every month if you're caring for someone. And then we also have what we call is the one-stop shop. So if you need help with like VA paperwork or geriatric assessment, we can help you with that as well. Then to answer the question that you had down here, what is your favorite piece of advice? It's really letting you know you're not alone. I'm here to help. We're here to help you. If it's child care, if it's elder care, whatever the case may be, we're here to help you.
Wonderful. That seems to be a theme throughout, that we all want to be in community with each other to whatever extent you're comfortable with. I'm curious, I put several starred items down to what you were talking about, Stacey, and I was just curious if you don't mind me taking a moment. Is there anyone here where it has been a month, at least a month, since they've hired a sitter and gone out? That's too many. How about, are there some people where it might be 3 to 6 months? Too many. How many people think, how on earth can I stand to pay a babysitter that much money just to, it's a cost-benefit analysis you have to do, but once you do it, if you look the other way as you're turning over that, but I know that, we're not great about it, but we've gotten to where we're, especially as our children got older, I just think it's incredibly important. And how many people have used the sitter service at Vanderbilt? Are you angry?
Oh, y'all, honestly,
Tracy,
it is wonderful.
That smiling, cleared person shows at your door every time.
The girl that we had was a third-year medical student. She was trained in CPR and first aid. When we got home, she said, "Thank you for letting me watch your children. They were just lovely." And I was like,
Whose children are you watching?
It becomes a thing that you realize it's so important. Our favorite sitter is a double Vandy grad who's a teacher now and does the most wonderful things with the kids. So you realize they're gaining benefit by you going away for a while. Even if they've been in childcare or school all day, you still go away without guilt. And you let them experience being away, from mom. They love the sitters. They love them. It's a lot of fun. So yes.
I'm sorry. I've never used a sitter because I'm a super anxious person. But how much would it cost on average to have someone come, like if my husband and I wanted to go out to a movie or something?
So the sitter service, you negotiated with them. You don't really say a price, but I guess it depends on what that person will be doing with your child. Are they active, transporting, or whatever, or are they just sitting there watching TV? So kind of just do it like that. We don't have like a set price on pay them this or this.
So $10?
But we tend to pay $10 an hour.
Is it a baby or is it?
She's 20 months now.
10 to 12?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It depends
There
on the
are a
people
lot
you
of
hire.
people who can take care of a 20-month-old and give you an evening out. I promise you. I bet there are people in this room who could give you a name of somebody they've used or trusted. You should do it.
Oh yeah. And we just, my kids are older, but we've been for 10 years, we've been paying $10 an hour. So while the cost of living goes up, the need for my kids goes down, so, but I know people that pay 12 and 15 and feel really good about that investment as well, so,
Did you want to the parents in a pinch program that was $13 an hour, and that's for however many number of kids you have, which is kind of nice if you don't want to negotiate and you know that they've been cleared, they're kind of associated with us. Although the sitter service is full of Vanderbilt people and students, so you have a little bit of confidence there.
yeah, absolutely.
well, and the nice thing about parents in a pinch is it is last minute. Like if you find your kid wakes up with a 102-degree fever and you have to go give a presentation, you call them that morning and they send you out somebody. So it's very last minute. We have it on our refrigerator. So it's not something you have to prearrange.
Yes.
Yeah, question. I don't have a problem with paying for it because I'll pay anything just to have a break. The problem is just building that trust, to be able to trust a stranger. How do you overcome that?
May I?
Yes.
Go ahead.
But that's why when I was saying just, don't leave the whole day. Parents in the pinch is a little different because you only get 20 days per calendar year. But with the sitter service, I've had people like meet in the park. If you got upstairs and downstairs, they're down there doing laundry. Kind of feel it before you actually have to leave on that Friday night or whatever the case may be. And just like you're interviewing anybody else, tell them what you expect, all that, because you're paying them. So I think if you gradually do it, it's going to make you feel better.
Right. And I love getting content and expertise from the moms because we have a lot of experts sitting right here in the audience too. What did you want to?
It's always going to be hard. It's never going to be easy. The first time is like grueling. You feel like it's even worse than putting your child in childcare because at least somebody's watching over that person. Whereas if you have a sitter in your house, you have no idea what's going on, and especially if you have a kid that cannot tell you if something went wrong or so. Our first hunch was to hire one of her teachers at daycare because she knew her and she knew what her routine was like. Maybe that's why we haven't used sitters from Vanderbilt because we felt like we were more comfortable using somebody that she knows. But I was just gonna say that it's never gonna get very easy, even later. Like we've done it for a year now, and it still weighs on you. You feel the guilt of leaving your child with a stranger in your own house.
But once you get past that, and then they become part of your support system, And then I have a high schooler, because my children are a little older. She calls me when her dance troupe season is over and says, I'm ready to, and she was a friend of a friend, was a friend of a neighbor. So we took that chance. So I think that's another great, at Vandy Moms, I know sitters who are looking for jobs, so you can network and get that personal referral.
There's two questions if you're anxious that you can ask to see if someone is resourceful or thoughtful. So I usually say, what are the things that you worry about? What are safety issues that you think about when you're babysitting? To see if they say things like putting things in their mouth, falling down the stairs. And I've tested this, and people who know how to babysit know how to answer that question. Mm-hmm. And then I say, and what if she doesn't stop crying? What would you do if you can't get her to stop crying? So you see if they've already thought through how they're going to handle that. Do they say, I don't know what I would do? Or do they say, I'd walk around and rock them, or I'd call you, or do they just... And those two questions actually give you a really quick test about whether or not they're anywhere near where you're going to be.
Their comfort zone, if they have a skill set.
The other thing that's really helpful nowadays is just text and pictures.
Yeah,
So,
that's what we
all
do.
my babysitters pretty much have iPhones, and so we'll just text as needed, or they'll send a picture and be like, this, just happened, like here's a little bruise or whatever, and I'm like, that's fine. But it's just you really do have a lot more conversation, more communication.
In the middle of the movie theater, if you want to, hide it, you can. Everything okay? You can.
Or she just went to sleep, and this is when your actual evening starts.
That's right. Or make sure they're
That's when
already
we
in
start
bed
enjoying
before you
themselves.
come home. You're paying that sitter to put them to bed for you. You don't want to come home and put your, they're supposed to pay So that was a good one. That's wonderful. Tracy, if you wouldn't, Kathleen,
No, I was just saying, I think it's harder to use the parents in a pinch when your child has 102 fever and you've never seen the person and you can take presentation. I would think that's actually quite a bit harder. And one of my co-fellows has chosen to stay home herself because her husband's taking time off and her mother has, because she doesn't want to use parents in a pinch. And when I told her about it, and I wanted her to use it, but she felt uncomfortable with a febrile child, leaving them with an absolute stranger, even if that person has been vetted. I don't know, what do you tell people that allays that fear?
I know with Parents in a Pinch, I've interviewed people on campus that have used it, and it's not just an individual person. They're kind of connected with different agencies here in town. So it's not like just someone off the street that they did background checks or whatever.
They're like full-time nannies.
Right, or like, is it Green Hills Nannies? They have their people, so it's not like myself going in there saying I need a job. They are with reputable agencies that they come in, and pretty much Parents in a Pinch works with agencies and not individuals.
The other thing is that if you use it before they're sick, and sometimes you can get the same person the next time, so at least you would have had a chance with them. Yeah, I haven't used it personally.
Sure.
And the other thing too, I think a lot of families will stay home that day when their child is sick because they want that mommy care. They want to be that person. But then there's that 24 hours, when your child, you can look at them and go, they feel fine. Really? Why won't Rhonda let them come to school? And it's just that state law that they can't come to school for 24 hours. That's the day it's good to have parents in a pinch.
Because they're okay.
Tracy, if you wouldn't mind so we've kind of dug in on some specific things, and if you from the big institutional. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not doing my job. Sorry.
What is the radius of the services provided as far as how many, is it Davidson County only, or?
For both, they're not just Davidson County. For the sitter service, when a person want to sit, they could say either Vanderbilt area, Davidson County, or the outlying areas. And it's the same thing with Parents in a Pinch. It's all over.
So if you have someone in that area, you do. If you don't, you don't, I guess.
Well,
like Montgomery County or, Wilson County, things like that.
When you look up on the sitter service, just put other area, and that'll tell you to contact them. And you could just email them and say, and I've helped employees do this as well. We have a family that's looking for a sitter. They live in this area. This is what they're looking for. Is this something you can do? Before you commit to it, you can just send a blast email to all of them, and then, kind of go from there.
Okay.
Yes, big picture.
So I have a couple, it's so nice because I can build on things that I've heard about. Because I came with sort of what I wanted to talk about, but then I heard a couple of other things. First, I think maybe just to say I understand sort of the position I'm in and the duty I have. I am a mom. I'm in an executive position here, so I have the access. I have the ability to influence on issues that are important to families. But at the same time, I think I think it's good to share with you that typically the rooms I'm in, I'm either the only woman, the only mother, or the only one that has children, young children. And so it's not as easy as waving a magic wand, and it's not that there's resistance to issues, it's that people aren't living this. And so, there's a little story that I like to tell. I think this was last year, the year before. I was invited to one of I think it was actually a children's hospital charity event, lunch event. So I leave Vanderbilt, I'm scrambling my car, I'm driving down to Franklin, right? And, people are totally decked out, this is how they're spending their day, and, and it was a wonderful event. And I'm sitting with mostly the wives of all the men that I work with. So I spend my lunch with them. They're, lovely, wonderful, had a great lunch, and I left, I'm zipping back, I'm like, have some message for the after-school program, I make some doctor's appointment or something while I'm driving, I get back and I'm meeting with the husbands for the afternoon, right? And I'm living in this parallel universe of this life where I need to be one of the women and then I need to be one of the guys, sort of thing. So, and I heard what you said, it's sort of like the more driven you are or the higher up position, it's almost like you need to hide it. And I don't want people to take that away that there's something wrong with it or that it's bad, but I think what you need to do is it needs to be kind of as seamless as possible, and you can't use my child's sick. You have to be resourceful, have to get your stuff together, and you can't always be the one who has to take off. You need to find friends, neighbors, family, husband, partner, whatever it is, because you just, if you want those jobs, if you want tenure, if you want, those kinds of rules, you have to figure out how to make it work. Is it fair? No, it's not, it's not fair, it's not easy, but you do have a lot of people around you that can help you depending where you are in that stage. So that was sort of one thing I wanted to mention. The second was around programs. So we are in the process right now of developing a staff parental leave. We don't officially have a parental leave, a paid parental leave. We use our vacation and our sick time. And of course we have protected leave, but we are working on that, as well as we want to get more and more people enrolled in short-term disability insurance. This continues your pay when you are off, and having a child is, the medical part of that qualifies you. So if you are not enrolled, if you think you're going to have a child in the next few years, get enrolled. It's how you continue your pay without having to eat up that bank of vacation and sick time. And that said, we're working on a more flexible time off program that will probably come out in the next year and a half or so. So that's another piece. We are working on an infertility benefit that will put more people in this room. But especially as we see women in particular having to put off childbearing because of their challenges and commitments, it is an issue. We think it makes us a best-in-class employer. And I think finally the other programmatic is mindfulness that you mentioned. So we will begin piloting more mindfulness programming throughout the campus, because having that, for me, it's like the only quiet I get all day. We offer it in the HR department every Thursday. I just saw the thing pop up, mindfulness 12 to, and I was like, oh, what's that? But if you can just have some quiet, and some people are into the grooviness, I just think it is the only quiet I have all week. Silence. No one needs me. No one's calling my name. No one's asking me to do anything. So when you see the mindfulness come out, don't worry that it's something weird or you need to know how to do anything. Look at it like it is a place I can go and have quiet for whatever it ends up being, 20 minutes or a half hour.
Is it now?
No, well, it is over 25 we're offering it. But anyway, I wanted to throw those out. But then I came today sort of thinking of, if I had to give advice, what would it be? And if you want or need to believe that I or we have it all together and we must know how to do it all, then you can cover your ears, because you don't want to have it all be deflated over it. But the fact is, it's not easy. And there's a great article I think a few of us are going to read from it. Has anyone read the recent Huffington Post article on what not to say to working women? So I'm just going to repeat a couple things and then I'm going to my tips. So I don't know how you do it. It must be so hard. It is. I don't know how I do it. But I don't think it's because I work. I think it's because parenting is hard, whether you stay home or go off to the office. I don't know how any of us do it. It's glorious and rewarding and full of love and the hardest thing I've ever done. Balancing kids with anything else, whether a paying job or running a household or finding time to watch Honey Boo Boo, is nearly impossible. You must be so organized and able to balance everything. I have a love-hate reaction to this statement. At first, I bask in the affirmation. I believe I am organized. Then I remember, I am one set of lost keys away from a meltdown. I have mismatched socks on. My kid went to school with jelly on his face. I haven't exercised in a week or ever. I have piles of books and clothes and God knows what else in my bedroom. I forgot a conference call yesterday, lost the planetarium permission slip. I let something slide every day. There is no balance, only carefully controlled chaos, pretty much like everyone else's life. So you may need this article one day, you know, of the week, of every week. I think we'll make sure we get it sent out because these are the kinds of things that make you feel better. And there is no perfection out there that, you know, you need to be striving toward. And so I sort of made my list. And the first one is forgive yourself, right? So whatever you thought you need to be or you want to be, you need to let that go. And there may be things that are really important to you. I am the person who makes dinner for my family every night. That's fine. If that's you, then you need to do that. But you don't need to be the perfect thing that she has, the perfect thing that she has. You know, there's the mom that's totally together and looks awesome. Then there's the mom who exercises, and there's the mom. But I guarantee they don't do it all. So you don't need to be all of them combined into one perfect person, right? So you need to forgive yourself. And I think that you also ought to think about if your guilt is causing you to think that you need to let your kids do everything. You know, for me, and I have young kids, I can't do the teenage talk, but for the young kids, you feel guilty because you haven't been with them. You feel like they should get to do all these activities. But if those activities require you to get up at 7 o'clock on Saturday or Sunday mornings and drive for hours, you get to say no to that, right? And how many of our parents or how many of us can say we actually didn't do that much when we were kids and our parents didn't go to all of our activities? And I think we turned out pretty okay, right? I don't know why we feel we need to be at everything and do everything that they want. And, you know, my kids do want to do a lot of things. They want to play soccer, they want to play piano, they want to, you know, be in everything that's offered. And, you know, the schools want to give you lots of great things to choose from, but you do need to, you know, set your limits. So, and forgive yourself. You're not hurting your children by not being at everything. And this week, I have another really quick one. I ran to my boss's luncheon. I scarfed down food, left before it was over because my daughter had told me that morning she was in a talent show. And I get there, and so I Zoom over, right? And I know I have another meeting, and I keep bargaining. I'm like, who can I bargain with? Do I bargain with the people I'm leaving, or do I bargain with the people that I'm going to? And of course, it's not like, oh, my daughter has a thing. You know, it's just, so she's number 18 in the lineup, right? There's no, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I'm sitting here, and there's no way I'm going to see her, so I walk up to the front, and I just said, I want you to know that I'm here, and I think to myself, am I going to tell her that I saw her, or am I going to tell her that I didn't? Like, how am I going to, and then I'm like, who can videotape this for me? So I'm sitting there thinking, like, who is here, who's going to videotape? And, you know, that's what you kind of do, because then you can say, you're right, I came, I wanted to see you, I didn't know you were 18th, but I got to see the video. And, it's, you know, this is not going to harm her, right? She knows that I made that. But anyway, the second thing is networking. So you're already doing that by being in a group like this, but you know, as much as you feel like you need help, so do all the other moms that you know. So your fear might be, well, what if I ask for someone for help and they thought I was being pushy, or they don't want to help me, or they say no, and you know, you need to start finding people who feel like you, and trade. You know, there's neighbor moms, there's stay-at-home moms who would trade for different things because they also need breaks and want to do things. I mean, you can just find, it could be anything. You would like to, you know, have space in somebody's garden, and in exchange, you could give them something. You need time off. They need you to pick up stuff while you're shopping. You know, you've got to get creative and resourceful and use that network. There are moms, there are part-time moms, there are stay-at-home moms, there's other moms who are crazy organized with spreadsheets and who keep track of all the stuff. Make friends with them. They like to help you with that. They like to tell you that tomorrow's the day that the kids have to have a certain color shirt on, and that they need to bring like their favorite picture from vacation, or whatever. connect with them and say, I'm terrible at this. Would you mind, whenever you're thinking of it, just tell me if I'm forgetting something. And then you do something nice for her. And you just got to constantly think about how can you help each other. The other thing is that when you're going to sign your kids up for activities and you know it's going to be a stress getting there, why these activities all start like while we're working, I do not know. But plan it with another mom so that together you're kind of making the arrangements and you don't feel later like you have to kind of find somebody who will pick up your kid, but you say, hey, this might be hard for both of us. Could we sign up together and then I can do some and you can do some, and if you're able to split that even with husbands too, you have 4 people maybe or partners. And then I think the last thing is optimizing. So you have to, I thought of it this morning, so I went to drop some, on the way here I went to drop shoes off because both of the bottoms of my heels broke off both of my shoes yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm gonna drop this off. And you see signs like, oh, they clean sneakers and they make keys, and you just start thinking like, what else do I need done? And so force yourself, if you're ever in places that do more than one thing and you can get stuff done even ahead of time, like just start churning out that stuff. And then silly, simple things. I wish that I could get all my thank you notes done for all the people in my family who buy my children toys that fill up my whole house. I want to handwrite them. I want to use black ink on a nice card. I would love to include a picture of them with the item or wearing that, right? I can't do this. So take pictures that they've made at school and have them write a big thank you on it, because you know what, grandma or whoever, auntie, they would love a picture that they drew more than they need a fancy little card that you hand wrote. These are things that I'm going to go do that now that I have said it out loud. I think it's all about optimizing. So I guess my closing is when people ask me, how do you do it? I'm constantly thinking of how to optimize. Optimize in a positive way, relationships, optimize when I'm running an errand, optimizing, am I trying to be something that I can't be? And I don't need to be who I was when I didn't have kids, and I don't need to be this perfection that everyone is looking at. So you pick the thing that's important to you, and you really focus on that, and you do need to let other things go. And maybe my final one, so I think many of us often feel like, we look like a wreck, we can't take care of ourselves, things don't match. So one of the strategies, and this seems, really simple and silly, but pick a few things, if you care about this, if this is the thing that can help you. Like, at least, yes, I did forget the teddy bear for sleeping today, and I forgot to sign this is the truth, I forgot to sign up my kids for after school tomorrow when school is closed. Just totally forgot. And you want to try to talk them into the fact that, no, it must be wrong. I must have done it. So do things that will make you feel good. And I would rather own a few pieces of clothing that I feel good in all the time, so that if everything else goes wrong today, I can be like, at least I feel together. But for you, it might be, I'd rather know that I never forget the stuff for the kids' school. Like, just pick your 1 or 2 things and don't be so hard on yourself. So those are my tips, and I think that's really what I'm asked about a lot, because people think I have it all together, or I can do it all. And it's because, I don't, and neither does anybody else.
I love it. We got Chief Human Resources Officer Traci and Mom Traci, expertise fully integrated.
Yeah.
I love it. And I would just piggyback on one of those things where when my daughter first went to kindergarten, I was like, well, I'm going to be the room mother. Absolutely. I'm going to, plan all the parties. And my little takeaway, or my little experience was, when I was in charge of the first party, I reached out to the other I had a room mom, and I said, well, let's do a lunch, and we'll get together, and we'll plan it, and we'll delegate, and we'll, that's what we're going to do. And she's like, yeah, I've got my toddler. She stayed home. I've got my toddler. I'm just going to pick up the stuff on the way there. So she was a do, and I'm like, put it in my Outlook. I'll have a meeting. Yeah, this is how we're going to. And she's like, not going to overthink and plan all that. So I never signed up to be room mom again. And I love celebrating and thanking and applauding my friends that do all that. And I say, I can't do it. Thank you so much. I love what you do. Can I write you a check or something? Because I work and I can do that. When they say, can everybody pitch in $5 for the teacher luncheon fund? I'm like, I'll write you a check for $50 and nobody else has to do it. And so that's my thing that I, and I celebrate them and thank them, and they appreciate that too. So it's owning my comfort space, but it took me a minute to get there. So any questions, of Tracy or anything right now? Yeah.
Could you just, or I mean, I guess it really this is for anyone, but to kind of speak to the decision-making process when you were, like, I feel like as a teenager when I'm going to school and going to college and, I really thought a lot about how to be a successful career, how to move my career forward. But then at this point now, it's like, how do you make the decision between increasing your career, moving up the career, and also, being a good mom. So like the pros and cons, I feel like I'm in a stage right now where it's like, do I stay where I am? Things seem to be going pretty well. I've kind of got a balance. Like I don't want to sort of crash the ship by going up to a more challenging job.
I mean, you just have to decide if you want to embrace the craziness. It's important. It was never a choice. I never sat and thought, I just was. I was going to do that. That's who I am. And I celebrate people who can make the choice, because I have a sister-in-law with 3 kids who just said, no way, I'm not doing it, I can't do it, I can't cope. And I think it's like a test for you. Can I cope? And can I embrace that this won't be easy? And then you just decide if you're going to.
And it depends on your network, and it depends on how you organize your life and your comfort level, with how you're going to ask for help. So
essentially, no one can make that decision for you, and it can change. You can actually change. And if you do end up in a more challenging job, and you find yourself feeling as if you're missing something by missing your children, you can always decide to take a less challenging job. So, as something like Oprah said, if you don't like what you're doing, just do something else. So.
There you go. Well, in the nature of time, we're going to very quickly jump to Carol. If you can touch on a few things, then we'll hit Rhonda and have a big finish with Margie. So Carol, if you could.
So, let's see. I guess the first thing that I was asked to speak about was the question that I'm most frequently asked by working mothers, and that is about the location of lactation rooms. So now we have this wonderful network, and so that, hopefully that problem is going to be getting better. There are a lot of people across campus and across the medical center that are really working on trying to make things better for our moms that are coming back to work and breastfeeding. So there's a whole network of people that are really trying to look out for you moms that are coming back to work. So that's the first thing. That's my first question. My advice, and there are a few of you that have been in my childbirth classes, so you've probably heard this. This is a little sort of take from my stress busters for new parents. It's a number of different things, but I think one thing I would say is organize one thing in your life. And so it may be your baby's diaper bag. Always have it packed and ready. Like that's the thing, when you come into the house, you throw the dirty diaper away that's in there and you put new diapers in, so it's always ready. Whenever you get somewhere, you've got what you need as far as that goes. Now, your house may be a wreck, but you know that one thing is good. The next thing is, do what you can to take care of yourselves. Get rest, Try to really, I am very guilty of sitting down at night and trying to do a little bit of work on my iPad, and before I know it, I'm sound asleep. Then I wake up at like 11 and I'm wide awake. So my husband keeps saying, put your pajamas on, and instead of sitting down with the iPad, just go to bed. And I've been trying to do that. It makes a huge difference. I go to bed, I go to sleep, I wake up in the morning, then I can do my stuff on the iPad because I've gotten a good night's rest. So that helps. That really does help. Eat well, but I am a firm believer in chocolate. So I think that chocolate helps a lot of things. So definitely do that. Say no to things that fall low on the list. And I'll say, as a working mother, this is something that really, it was hard for me to do. But when I realized that I was making choices, like somebody would call and say, oh yeah, the girls are getting together for dinner, and I'd be thinking, I just really want to go home and hang out with the kids. It was okay to say no to them, because I was sitting at the dinner the whole time going, I really want to be home with the kids. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't getting anything, from it. Or if Aunt Myrtle calls and she wants to come and stay with you for the weekend and you've got a huge project due. It's not a good weekend for that. It's okay to say, sorry, it's just not a good weekend for that. So I think it's okay to say no. The last thing is you have to laugh at yourself. I mean, we all, not perfect. We all make mistakes. Sarah told a story last year about she got ready to pump and she forgot to put the bottles on the so you can either laugh or you can cry. So choose to laugh. It makes things so much more fun. And I can promise you probably will cry in that situation, but you'll look back on those times and you'll think they're pretty funny. So I think that's it.
Wonderful. Yeah, we've been able to have a lot of the breastfeeding piece emphasized. So did anybody have any additional questions? Yes.
I don't know if it's a question or maybe a request for help. My daughter is 18 months now. When I first got back to work, where she was 6 weeks old, I'm in the engineering department, we didn't have anywhere to go. And I'm a graduate student, so I don't have the leverage of a staff or professor or whatever. Unfortunately, I had to go talk to the dean, to the chair, to my advisor, to the secretary, and most of them were men. And you have to explain to them why you need 10 minutes every 3 hours of privacy. And I felt awful, and I cried so many times afterwards because I felt like I had to explain.
Yes.
I still tear up thinking about it. And I ended up pumping in a bathroom for almost 9 months. Afterwards, they started, I think, it was either that or walking to the medical center for 15 minutes to pump for 10 minutes and come back, and that was it didn't help at all. So maybe somebody can talk instead of us, where we're in such a vulnerable position and we're just in a wreck to start with because we just had a baby 6 weeks before. If somebody who has more leverage can explain the situation, we not having to go through all the males in the department to try to explain to them why we need that privacy or why we need that time off every 3 hours and not have meetings that go on for 4 hours, for example, for people who...
So you're saying while you're pumping, your boss is like, "Hi, I need you for a minute."
Yes.
Partner, exactly, and I don't know if that's looks like
Maybe can kind of feel that. So yeah, I think that's a lot of the idea behind the breastfeeding welcome tier. Because what we really wanted to do is advocate for graduate students. A lot of the spaces that are available are only available to staff and faculty. So graduate students get stuck in this awkward boat where you're kind of a little bit of both, but we're still viewed as a student. And so I think in situations like that, we're actually absolutely happy to go in and advocate for you. I had a similar situation probably about 2 weeks ago when a graduate student in the math department, she's the only woman in her area, she has all male faculty, they were asking her to bring her own like a sheet that she had to rubber band above in a conference space. And so what we kind of came up with was all she needed to do was write to her faculty person and said, "Hey, I heard about this program. I think it would be great if we could participate." Or if that doesn't feel comfortable, you just let us know who a good contact is and we can reach out and say, "Hey, we're looking to expand this. We don't have a site in your building and we would love to be able to offer this." And so that way you don't even need to be a part of that. The Breastfeeding Welcome to You campaign did launch last May, and so we're slowly building. I think we have probably about 23 or 4 spaces on campus that are welcoming spots. And I don't know what building you're in, but we can definitely, once you look at the map, you can find the space that's closest to you if there wasn't one in your direct building.
Oh, I'm done now.
Okay. Your point was, sometimes you need a partner to have that conversation with you. And it could be, somebody maybe from one of these resources, or it can be a Vandy mom who has done this and just says, this is someone who, here at Vanderbilt who has experience doing this and knows some of the logistics and can be a partner with you to have that conversation, or you need a ride along, sounds like.
For those of you who are faculty or staff, either Stacey or HR consultants in my office, all absolutely prepared and ready, would make the phone call, and I guarantee you barely have to get the word breast out. And they're like, whatever you need, just do it. I don't hear people saying no. I think it's just how to have the conversation. We will help you can write me personally, you can write Stacey, your HR person. We will help get that conversation going and get it arranged. I don't want anyone ever, to think that you were crying or in angst because you had to have the conversation. And if you can spread that word, and it is sort of that if you see the pregnant lady and you just say, hey, when you come back, if you have any issues, just make sure you contact anyone.
And it's also now a federal law that there has to be workspace accommodating breastfeeding mothers now.
I think the way it's written though, they have to make the best of arrangements, and that depends on how they see the best. Yeah, but they told me to have a curtain in my office with 4 other graduate students and come behind the curtain. That was their arrangement.
Well, they're not resourceful, but we will help. We will get resourceful.
Get some moms behind.
But
a lot of people were in the room with me. I would
But
simply put a sheet around me.
Yeah.
And
But it's not just, honestly, it's not just the males. There was also women
Right.
faculty that have kids and that would not let me use a space that some of her students were using. I mean, it was really hard. And honestly, I went to the bathroom and did it just because I just did not want to talk about it anymore. I just don't want to fight this anymore, and I chose not to fight that battle because it was taking more toll on me than what it should be. And I hope, I don't want to talk too long, but I hope none of other people don't have to go through this. And they
It
would find
sounds
more
like
support.
it's, going to be changing. So, very quickly, I'd like to hear from Rhonda and then let Margie have a plug. So, Rhonda, if anybody's curious, maybe you can speak to the child care situation and the reality that it is here at Vanderbilt.
Sure, I could speak to that. We now have 4 locations on campus with over 500 children. And they're all Vanderbilt faculty, staff, and students' children, just like always. And we, of course, have added the family center now. So we're all about child care on campus. And with Traci coming to town, we've got a lot more support, I think, in terms of just programs and looking at different ways for the child care to be even better than it already is. And I think probably when it comes to thinking about questions that I get answered most frequently or asked most frequently, it's really a lot of questions are just about this. How do you balance work and life? And I think so many times parents have this guilt. And I also brought the Huffington Post article. Traci and I both ended up bringing this together. And I was going to read a different one, so that worked out. We almost covered the whole article. And so the question, these are what not to say to working moms. And this is the question: why did you have kids only to let someone else raise them? People have said this to me. Here's her answer. People have said this to me. People have said this to my friends. It's a good thing that I didn't have the power to incinerate them with my laser beam eyes. And then I'll just ask you to be a tad less judgmental. Thank you very much. I had little dude because every fiber of my being wanted to be a mother, and we felt like our family was incomplete without another person in it. Loving and raising a child is not incompatible with having support to do that. We are grateful and proud to have wonderful people who help us, from family to friends to teachers and babysitters. But make no mistake, my husband and I are raising our children. We aren't home every day, but we are a presence in our kids' life at every moment. And I think that really speaks to all of it in terms of what we've been talking about today, especially in terms of babysitters, teachers, families and friends, the support systems. And if you find a good child care center, and we hope at Vanderbilt that we're that child care center, that is really good for your child. You're not doing a bad thing by putting your child in child care. You're doing a good thing for your child, because everyone stays healthier emotionally that way. Your children are learning how to learn. They're learning how to be in groups. They're learning how to negotiate turn taking. They're learning how to ask for things verbally rather than just hide in your skirt and mom and dad figure it out. They have a whole nother culture when they're at school and in childcare, and it's so important to their growing. And if you look at the kids who are growing up in childcare, they really are turning out to be wonderful, wonderful people. I mean, I've been doing this now for so many years at Vanderbilt, and I see so many moms that, I've had, I can't believe that Galen's kids are as old as they are, and even others, and they're wonderful people. My children, of course, too. And so don't feel bad. Stop beating yourself up. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing.
I love it. I think it's important to share your children with others. I think that sharing them with others important, and they begin to create their network of friends at an early age.
Absolutely.
So we're just now reconnecting with a friend who was a preschool friend, at our childcare at Belcourt. So it's great. Now she's 11 years old. So.
Well, Jean Piaget said that kids really don't learn to be social until, they're like 3 years old. And just recently I was in a workshop in Atlanta in November, and of course now we're starting to realize this was a case study of infants and their social competency. And I see it every day in our infant room. Every single morning I watch the kids, and they are social, and they socialize with each other. And so we do know that we're growing kids up the right way.
That's right. Any quick questions on childcare? Okay. Well, Margie, she's just like dessert in my opinion. So, Margie, if you can just kind of recap and tell us, just give us your wisdom, please.
So I would say in taking what everyone has said, that what I see most every day is people face challenges about making decisions. That's a theme of what we've spoken about. And they struggle with, do I make this decision by myself? Do I ask my friends? Do I ask my family? And I think that's where the services that we have to offer come to help. As much as whatever phase you're in, if you have an infant and you're breastfeeding and nursing. I remember 29 years ago doing that here. I was at the School of Nursing at the time. And I think back on it, I didn't do it alone. I had the most fantastic pediatrician who would say, breastfeed wherever you want. I used to have people who used to go in the courtroom and do it, and the judge wouldn't make them stop. And then you have the people who help you out because you need people everywhere you go. You can't do it alone. But I think that what we can help with is, even with, we're looking more at mindfulness. Sometimes people want to do those things, but they don't know how to get started. And I really help people focus on skill building and finding a way to enter whatever that next thing you want to do is that would be new to you in your life and in your way. So I wanted to share a couple of things that I've been doing a lot with people in the last year. So along with mindfulness, we know sometimes people are under tremendous stress of decisions. They come in, we don't tell them what to do, but we help them learn about a lot of resources. We have a lot of information, and we help them think that through. But I find a lot of people say, just as you said, one lost set of keys and I could have a meltdown. And probably everyone in this room, we look all so calm here, but no, we do. We may even yell at family members in ways and say things we wish we didn't do, and then come in, and it's hard to even share about that. I've developed a whole program that's available there as it kind of moves into mindfulness, how I started, that is kind of what we call radical acceptance, and using some of the dialectical behavior therapy skills. They're all a set of skills. So instead of saying we have to have that only for a person who's got some sort of diagnosis, it's all based on mindfulness. There are websites, there are phone applications. I help people make lists. We break it up. I actually took one of the books and I've scanned it into PDF so I can just print off one page at a time. And people are making and skill building, and their goal is they'd love to come to a mindfulness class. It may be 2 years before they're ready to actually attend a mindfulness class. But they're doing mindfulness in their own life. We'll say make a list of mindfulness at home, make a list at work. So again, focusing on that, what you may do best, hold on to that. Don't let go of it. But then as you pick one more thing, what would that be? So that's something that I've been doing a lot in the last year since we were here at the last panel that we had. And another thing is, last year I asked, because I've talked with people who have had trouble sleeping. So I talked Vanderbilt into sending me to Harvard to get trained in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. It is an evidence-based 5-session program that I offer in our office. And again, I've had other people tell me, I checked around town. Nobody else in Nashville is doing it. I'm kind of surprised, because most sleep centers are dealing with people with medical disorders, not just the general insomnia. So as you said that, Carol, about, so I just met with a high-performing woman yesterday who we talked about her whole pattern. They keep sleep diaries. It's not very hard to do, but each person I've worked with has gotten much, much, much better. We break up so people don't get into more ongoing insomnia, but improve their sleep habits. So that's something we offer. And we haven't widely advertised it yet because we've got 26,000 people. Yeah. I'm only one person. But anyway, those are a couple of things.
Line up first.
Well, I would say this. You know what? I think we have the resources. We will get to everyone. I mean, that's one of the things about being at Vanderbilt is we may not be able to do everything today, but we are going to make get around to helping everyone. So I would agree with what Traci said and just ended up saying, this has been my life's work of how to cope. I started in 1975, 2 years after I finished nursing school, looking at all the work that Martin Sullivan did with resilience. He's just now worked with over 1 million of our Army. He's the person in charge of all the psychological resilience for the Army. I've met him. I've done his work since 75. Luckily for me, my one thing is my husband practiced on me when I was 19 and learned mindfulness and meditation. So I've been doing that 43 years now. So I can be mindful anywhere in the universe, but it's a practice that you have to do and do skills. So I'll end with that, but I want to invite every single person here, don't wait till you feel so stressed that you are in crisis. You can come in earlier and see us. You just pick up the phone and call 61327 and say, I want to make an appointment. It doesn't have to be with me. We have a whole lot of good people. Luckily at Vanderbilt, Harvard got rid of their program like ours 5 years ago. Vanderbilt has expanded and expanded. We have huge support because I think Vanderbilt believes that we need to support the people. So I'll end that with, we have time for everyone here and all of your colleagues at the different times that you need us, we're there for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and we are at time, and so I know that we have people with busy schedules, both panelists in here. So if you need to scoot, that is certainly fine. I think there'll probably be a few people lingering, and did you want to say any closing remarks, Amy?
All I wanted to say was take some of those little cards if you need them, if you have friends who need them. That's how you contact us. That's how you can get on the listserv. That's how you can connect with Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to highlight 2 of our upcoming events. In March, on March the 7th, we are going to be offering a session on parenting through divorce. And so if that's something that you need, a friend needs, one of Margie's colleagues is going to be offering that, and it's going to be in 2525. Check the Facebook page, check the website, all the details are there. And then in April, one of Mary's friends, Mary is another longtime Vandy mom, so she can answer questions, all that kind of stuff. One of Mary's friends is going to be offering a session on image consulting. And so she's the president of an image consultation company, and so she's going to come in. I think it's the 4th of April. Is that right? Yeah. The 4th of April. And then in May, we're going to have some kind of a big social thing to celebrate our 10 years. But we're so glad all of you are able to be here today. I'm around for a while. There are lots of Vandy moms around for a while. If you have questions, didn't get a chance to ask them, put them on the cards. Otherwise, this will be posted on our website within the next couple of weeks. You can look for it, go back and refer to it, refer friends to it, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.